Family, friends and fans have paid tribute to legendary Hollywood actor Tony Curtis, who's died in his Las Vegas home.
I was 8 or 9 years old. He'd walk alongside of me and hit my body to knock it in the street and the traffic was going by. And he called me fucking Jew. You Jew.
Family, friends, and fans are mourning Hollywood legend Tony Curtis, who passed away at his Las Vegas home. In 1955, Curtis discovered a letter from another man to his wife, actress Janet Leigh, sparking a fierce argument that ended their trust. Though Janet denied the affair, Tony began secretly seeing other women, including a 17-year-old. Their glamorous image masked a troubled marriage filled with jealousy, surveillance, and betrayal. Janet Leigh, born Jeanette Helen Morrison in 1927, grew up during the Great Depression in a working-class family. Despite financial hardships, she was bright and skipped grades, graduating high school at 16. While studying in college, a photo of her caught the eye of actress Norma Shearer, who showed it to MGM without any acting experience. Janet landed a screen test and a contract, launching her Hollywood career in 1947. Before marrying Tony Curtis in 1951, Janet had already gone through 2 short-lived marriages. With Tony, she had 2 daughters, including Jamie Lee Curtis, but their relationship ended in a bitter, scandal-filled divorce. Despite being seen as a glamorous star, Janet was hard-working, balancing college, jobs, and night classes at USC, even while filming. By 1949, she had starred in major roles like Little Women and Holiday Affair. She easily moved between drama and comedy and was praised not just for her looks, but for her acting talent in films like Act of Violence. Off-screen, she was grounded and driven. Between 1951 and 1954, Janet and Tony made playful home movies with Jerry Lewis, helping her develop comedic skills that shined in later films. But not all of her experiences were positive. During the filming of Jet Pilot, she was stalked by producer Howard Hughes, who wiretapped her phone and followed her. After years of interference, she finally snapped and confronted him, an act of defiance that showed her strength beyond the screen. Tony Curtis's early life was marked by hardship. Born Bernard Schwartz in the Bronx in 1925, he grew up in poverty, with parents who could barely feed their children. At one point, he and his brother were placed in an orphanage. His mother, later diagnosed with schizophrenia, was abusive, and the death of his younger brother Julius left a lasting scar. Raised in an Orthodox Jewish home, Tony was bullied for his appearance and toughened up quickly. During World War II, he served in the Navy and witnessed Japan's surrender. Afterward, he studied acting in New York, alongside future stars like Walter Matthau and Harry Belafonte. In 1948, a talent agent spotted Tony's striking looks and brought him to Hollywood. The studio changed his name to Tony Curtis, trained him to speak polished English, and groomed him for stardom. When he met Janet Leigh in 1950 at a publicity event, sparks flew immediately. Despite studio objections, Tony refused a $30,000 offer to marry someone else for publicity, and eloped with Janet in 1951, with Jerry Lewis as their witness. Tony was smitten, but also deeply insecure and jealous. He once impersonated Cary Grant on the phone to test Janet's loyalty, and feared that Howard Hughes, who was obsessed with Janet, might sabotage or even harm him. Their careers flourished during their marriage. By the late 1950s, they were Hollywood royalty, with 2 daughters, Kelly and Jamie Lee Curtis. At the 1958 Golden Globes, Janet handed Tony the award for World Film Favorite, a picture-perfect moment. The couple's chemistry translated on screen too. They starred in 5 films together, starting with Houdini in 1953. Janet, still the bigger star, supported Tony's first leading role. Their shared performances were intense and passionate, helping to cement their status as a power couple. Janet Leigh's biggest role came in 1960 with Psycho. Her famous shower scene took 7 days to film and shocked audiences. Alfred Hitchcock obsessed over every detail, even using chocolate syrup for blood. Janet was so affected by the film that she avoided showers for years. The role earned her a Golden Globe, an Oscar nomination, and a permanent place in horror film history. More than just a victim, she brought depth to her character, becoming the original Scream Queen. Early in his career, Tony Curtis was seen as just a handsome face. That changed with Sweet Smell of Success in 1957, where he played a cold, calculating press agent. It wasn't a hit at the time, but it later earned acclaim as a classic. Then came The Defiant Ones, 1958, where Tony and Sidney Poitier played escaped prisoners chained together. One white, one black. It was groundbreaking. Both were nominated for Best Actor, a historic first. But Some Like It Hot in 1959 made Tony a legend. He played 3 roles: Joe the musician, Josephine the disguise, and Junior the fake millionaire. The film was daring for its time, playing with gender and identity. Marilyn Monroe joked on set, "He doesn't have these," flashing her chest after someone said Tony had the better backside. The film became a smash hit and is still considered one of the greatest comedies of all time. By the late 50s, Tony and Janet Leigh seemed like the golden couple. They welcomed daughter Kelly in 1956 and looked perfect in public. But privately, their marriage was cracking. In 1955, Tony found a letter he believed was from choreographer Bob Fosse to Janet. It shook him. Whether it was romantic didn't matter. His trust was gone. Tony, always insecure about his working-class roots, spiraled. He began cheating, starting with actress Gloria DeHaven, whom he'd idolized during the war. He later called her the love of his life. More affairs followed, including a brief, intense fling with Natalie Wood, which ended in miscarriage. Meanwhile, Tony became increasingly jealous of Janet. He suspected her of cheating, especially with Frank Sinatra, and even hired a private investigator. Nothing was found, but Tony didn't care. Their daughter, Jamie Lee Curtis, later said his paranoia destroyed the marriage. He accused her of sleeping with everyone, all while he was cheating. Like any save the marriage baby, I failed. By the early 1960s, Tony Curtis hit rock bottom. In late 1961, while filming Taras Bulba in Argentina, he fell for his 17-year-old co-star, Christine Kaufman. Janet Leigh, visiting the set, witnessed their chemistry and became physically ill. The production team kept the relationship quiet due to Christine's age, but after filming wrapped in early 1962, Tony moved in with her, waiting until her 18th birthday to live openly with her in the U.S. Their divorce was finalized in September 1962. The very next day, Janet married stockbroker Robert Brandt. Their marriage was peaceful and private, lasting until Janet's death in 2004. Jamie Lee Curtis later said Robert raised her and taught her to love nature, living quietly away from the spotlight. Tony, however, married Christine shortly after the divorce. Their relationship quickly unraveled, marked by infidelity and drug use, and by 1968, they separated. Tony continued a pattern of multiple marriages: Leslie Allen, Andrea Savio, Lisa Deutsch, adding chaos to his life with each new relationship and child. His son Nicholas tragically died of a heroin overdose at 23. In 1998, Tony married a woman 45 years younger than him, joking about the age gap. But behind the humor, the pain was evident. The divorce from Janet shattered both his personal life and career. Hollywood grew distant, and by the late 1960s, his only major role was in The Boston Strangler, after which he took on smaller films and TV spots. He was no longer the leading man. He later admitted that he couldn't handle being around anyone, not even his children, blaming his pain, addiction, and personal chaos. He also believed that Janet had turned Jamie against him. Tony claimed Janet painted him as selfish, but the damage was done. Even when Kelly tried living with him, their relationship fell apart. Before his death in 2010, Tony changed his will, leaving everything to his fifth wife, Jill, and nothing to his children. Kelly sued, alleging Jill pressured Tony, but the case went nowhere. While Janet quickly moved on and built a stable life for her kids, Tony kept criticizing their marriage and chasing fulfillment he never found. He believed the divorce ruined his career, but it wasn't the divorce. It was everything that followed.